From Dusk Till Dawn is a 1996 crime horror movie written by Quentin Tarantino and directed by Robert Rodriguez. It stars George Clooney, Juliette Lewis, Harvey Keitel, Ernest Liu, and Tarantino himself as Ritchie Gecko. Perverted sex offender Ritchie Gecko has just broken his older brother Seth out of jail. The outlaw siblings have just carried out a bank heist and are now on the run from the F.B.I. While stopping off at a liquor store to pick up the bare essentials, Richie hastily executes a clerk and the local law enforcer. During the psychopath's act of crazed bravado, Richie has sustained a nasty flesh wound which will go on to plague him throughout the film. Richie brings Seth to the end of his tether, and thus the older of the two decides to go out and get some sustenance. Harvey Keitel plays a retired pastor who has misplaced his faith in God after his wife was taken from him and his family as the result of a horrific car crash. To ease his clan's trouble, he has decided to take his daughter and adoptive son on a road trip across the southern states of America in his brand new recreational vehicle. While strolling across the motel's parking lot, Seth happens to stumble upon the wary travellers, looking for a place to rest their heads for the night. Knowing that these folks will make prime candidates for hostages, Richie and Seth take the family by surprise by posing as friendly neighbours in search for some ice. When Harvey opens the door, he is greeted with the business end of Richie's .44 caliber Narinko. Without wasting any time, Seth explains the uncomfortable circumstance that the pastor and his children are about to find themselves in. He informs them if they comply with his orders that they will make it out of this messy situation alive and well. After procuring these hostages, Seth and Richie set their sights for the Mexican border. With the use of some clever tactics, the Gecko brothers and the pastor's family roll across the border with ease. Seth decides to find a watering hole to lay low in for the night, before being picked up by an associate who will bring them onto their preferred destination of El Rey in the morning, where the two siblings will finally have their freedom once and for all. They eventually settle on a biker and trucker bar, poetically named the Titty Twister. Seth orders Richie and the family inside for a drink on him, but little does he know, what awaits them inside is a force far more deadly than that of the FBI or the Border Patrol. Tarantino had originally written the script for Dusk Till Dawn prior to writing Pulp Fiction back in 1993, and was paid the measly sum of $1,500 for his effort. In 1994, during production of Robert Rodriguez's Mexican film Desperado, Tarantino told him of his vampire story set in Mexico. Rodriguez was immediately intrigued, and stated he would direct it if it was ever to be turned into a fully fledged film. In 1995, Miramax Pictures secured the rights for the story, and went to Tarantino to see if he would be interested in taking part in the production. Tarantino replied to the studio that he would only want to be involved to let Robert Rodriguez direct it. Miramax gladly complied with the writer's demands, and during the summer of 1995, when Tarantino intended to take a well-earned break after the heavy workload of Pulp Fiction, both Rodriguez and Tarantino put the wheels in motion to get the vampire story up and running off the ground. Quentin Tarantino, who holds an enormous passion for cinema that was fed on a steady diet of grindhouse and exploitation movies, used From Dusk Till Dawn as an opportunity to cast some of his heroes from the genre. These included Tom Savini, Fred Williamson and Michael Parks. Williamson starred in numerous exploitation films throughout the 70s, such as Boss Nigger and Inglourious Bastards, the second of which would go on to inspire Tarantino's 2009 World War II film of the same name. Miramax were at first concerned when Tarantino cast the so-called no-name actor Tom Savini. The writer assured the studio that although Savini was not considered a mainstream star, he would outweigh any Hollywood A-lister amongst the horror community. The horror star first met Quentin at a 1980s fan convention. Tarantino requested Savini to come and visit the video store that he worked at. Savini took Tarantino up on his offer, and much to the delight of the staff and customers, the actor made an appearance at the video archive store. Savini looks back and says he is glad that he made this gesture, as it would land him a starring role in a major Hollywood picture 15 years later. Tarantino states that Michael Parks is his favourite actor to have ever worked with. The writer says that Parks delivered his dialogue perfectly, and took direction without hesitation. Quentin's fondness for Parks is evidence based on the fact that he cast him in almost every one of his films that belong in the movie universe, such as Kill Bill, Planet Terror and Death Proof. According to Tarantino, the opening scene that takes place in the liquor store is amongst his favourite action scenes that he has ever written. When it came to revisions of the script, the screenwriter decided to axe the scene altogether, as he thought the explosion stunt would push the budget way over the top. Once Rodriguez caught wind of this news, he demanded that Tarantino put it back in the script immediately. The setup for this stunt was so dangerous that the coordinator Tom Bellissimo demanded to stay in the building whilst the explosions went off, so he wouldn't get the blame if anybody was hurt. To add a touch of realism to this over-the-top production, Tarantino refused to cast a blonde bombshell as the Gecko brothers' original kidnappee, but instead opted for his old acting teacher, who according to him looked more like a real woman. To date, this is Tarantino's most prominent role in any movie he has ever appeared in. He delivers a fantastic performance as the schizophrenic Gecko brother. Tarantino based Richie's creepy mannerisms on the numerous films that John Malkovich had played over the years. For a movie that was originally supposed to feature only no-name actors, it has a terrific main cast. Clooney's Seth character is a perfect companion in crime for Tarantino's Richie. Tarantino first came across the Silver Fox whilst directing an episode of the hospital drama ER. After seeing Clooney's paediatrician character knock out an abusive parent, Quentin knew he was perfect for the role. From Dusk Till Dawn uses a perfect mixture of both practical and computer-generated effects that blend seamlessly together. To avoid an X-rated certification, Tarantino made the wise decision to switch the blood to more of a green hue. On the first viewing of this movie, I found the sudden change from crime thriller to horror somewhat jarring, but on the second time around the experience was a lot more enjoyable and somewhat amusing. Both Tarantino and Rodriguez intended for the quick left turn to mess with audiences' heads. For fans of the comedy horror franchise Evil Dead or the Grindhouse spin-off Machete, definitely make sure to check out From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.